Madam, start, madam.
Good morning to all of you. Once again, welcome to the webinar classes. Zoology classes. Yesterday,
Madam, good morning.
Yesterday we have started and completed up to the cerebrum and cortex. Now we are going to discuss about the functional areas of cerebral cortex. Already yesterday, even this also we have mentioned. 3 areas are there: sensory area, receive and interpret, motor areas control voluntary muscular movement, and association areas carried out more complex functions, integrative functions such as memory and communication. We have completed up to this. Now I want to say about the connections. Yesterday I used some words. What are those? Commissural fibers and tracks and association fibers, like that I used. But what are those? Cerebral cortex is over yesterday. Cerebral cortex is in gray in color. It is so we call it as gray matter. There all the cell bodies are concentrated. So because of the cell bodies, it is in gray in color because it is non-myelinated. You know it, axons are myelinated. That's why it is in white in color. Now, axons, cerebral medulla consists of myelinated axons, white matter. Axons are surrounded by the myelinated sheath. That's why the bundles of axons are in white in color. That's why we call it as white matter. Now, connections. I want to say about the connections. Right and left parts of brain are connected by commissural fibers. So if they are right and left parts connected by commissural fibers. Even those also bundles of the axon, but we have given separate name to it, that is commissural fibers. Example, corpus callosum. And then other one is up and down. Up and down parts of brain are connected by tracks. Up and down. This is the superior part, this is the inferior part, up and down. They are called as tracts. If we can draw here, of course, for example, this is the brain. Yes, this is the right and left, and up and down means like this. These are the up and down. Yes, connected by tracks. Even these are also bundles of axons, but we have given other name, that is tract. Bundles of axons outside of the CNS are called nerves. Did you find the difference? If both are bundles of axons, if they are located in the CNS, we call them as tracts. If they are located in the outside of the CNS, we call them as nerves. Next, posterior and anterior parts of the brain are connected by association fibers. If the axon bundles are located and connected posterior part, this is the posterior part, this is the anterior part. If like this. It is a 2D film. If it is a 3D image, we can show it. It is anterior part and this is the posterior part. So that bundles are called association fibers. Next, we will go to the another slide. Yes, lobes of cerebral hemisphere. Each cerebral hemisphere of the cerebrum is divided into 4 lobes. Already, as I told you, that the cerebrum is the largest and major part of the brain. When we observe first, we are able to see the only cerebrum. Already we discussed it. It is divided into right and off halves by the longitudinal fissure. Here, and in other way, we can divide into 4 lobes. What are those? What are those? Frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, and occipital lobe. How can we divide them? See here, it is the Sylvian fissure, and here central sulcus is there. This central sulcus divides the frontal lobe and parietal lobe. The Sylvian fissure divides the parietal lobe and temporal lobe. And here one more is there. Actually here one more sulcus is there. Yes, like this. This is parietal optical sulcus. It divides the parietal lobe and occipital lobe. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. These are the 4 lobes. So the first one is frontal lobe, parietal lobe and temporal lobe and then occipital lobe. So each cerebral hemisphere divided into 4 lobes, even a right one and left one. Here 4 lobes, here also 4 lobes. First one, frontal lobe. This is the frontal lobe. What are the functions of the frontal lobe? I am not going into deep, but just I want to touch them. It is concerned with the initiation of movement and speech. The skilled movements are accurate and smooth. The Broca's area, this is important one. The Broca's area is the motor area for speech. So this area is responsible for our speech, and it controls our lip movement and tongue movement, and which are the parts which are involved in the speech. They are controlled by the Broca's area. It is situated in the left hemisphere. Normally left, generally left, but sometimes it may be in right also, or both together may be work. Generally left hemisphere. We can call it as seat of intelligence. Frontal lobe is called as seat of intelligence or organ of mind, because the complex thought processing and speech centers are located in the frontal lobe. Next, parietal lobe. Yes, this is the parietal lobe. Receives sensory impulses from cutaneous receptors. Cutaneous means cutaneous is the connected with the skin. Connected with the skin. So touch, pressure, pain, temperature, all are they are the related with the skin and sense of skin. Tactile localization. What is tactile localization? Tactile localization also sense of touch, recognition of position and passive movements of limbs. Okay, tactile localization, sense of touch, where does it more among all our external parts? Their tactile localization is more at the palms of the hand. Here sense of touch is more. That's why we touch it. Everything first we touch it and we sense it. What is that? Even blind people also, by using the hands only, they are able to recognize all those things, because the sense of touch is more at particular, that is tactile localization. This tactile localization is controlled by parietal lobe. And then recognition of intensity of different stimuli. Intensity of different stimuli. The stimulus is at low level or high frequency, like that. Next, temporal lobe. This is the temporal lobe. What are the functions of the temporal lobe? Here, one more important. At frontal lobe, we mentioned this Broca's area. Here, Wernicke's area. Wernicke area. What is Wernicke area? It is located at left temporal lobe. There also left. Here also left temporal lobe. Perception of auditory impulses. Analysis of pitch and determination of intensity of sound and source of sound. So it is completely related with the auditory part, isn't it? So this is the temporal functions of the temporal lobe. And then one more function is there, that is maintenance of equilibrium of the body. Equilibrium of the body, you know it. It maintains the balancing to prevent the abnormal walking or abnormal, or we may fall down like that. Next, occipital lobe, the last one and smaller part compared to these three. It is concerned with visual, perception of visual impulses, interpretation of visual impulses, and movement of eye. So it is completely related with the eye and its functions. These are controlled by occipital lobe. So these are the functions of the lobes which are located in the cerebral hemispheres. Next part, we'll go to the second part of the forebrain, that is Diencephalon or Thalamencephalon. It lies between cerebrum and mesencephalon. It lies between cerebrum and mesencephalon. Mesencephalon is nothing but midbrain. Generally, we can say that when it was embryonic stage or growing stage, the brain is divided into as 5 cephalons, 5 divisions. What are those? Actually, first, how does it like this? At growing stage, like this, generally we call it as prosencephalon, and it is the mesencephalon and rhombencephalon. First, we discussed about them. But when it is growing, developing, this prosencephalon divides into 2 unevenly. The first part is grow in abnormal size, and second one is smaller size, like this. This is the biggest part. This one is call it as, this is the Thalamencephalon. Yes, the smaller part is Diencephalon. This is the Diencephalon. Next, this part is Mesencephalon. This is Metencephalon, and both here 2 divisions, Metencephalon and Mesencephalon are located here too. So Thalamencephalon is concerned with the cerebrum, and Diencephalon is Diencephalon. It has 2 parts, thalamus and hypothalamus, and this is the mesencephalon. Next, metencephalon is cerebellum, and myelencephalon is medulla. These are the 5 divisions. Just I want to give the vocabulary, these 5 divisions. Sometimes you may ask like that also in your further examinations. Okay. Next, here, first we are talking about the epithalamus. Because Diencephalon has three parts. Already I told you that one is epithalamus, second one is thalamus, and the third one is hypothalamus. The first one is epithalamus. It is the roof of the Diencephalon. See here, this is the Diencephalon. This part is here roof. Roof is epithalamus. It is non-nervous part. It forms the anterior choroid plexus. What is choroid plexus? About choroid plexus, we will discuss when we are talking about the ventricles of the brain. Okay, epithelium of the epithalamus forms a pineal stalk or pineal body. Here, are you able to watch here? This is the epithalamus, non-nervous part, and here one small bulge is there. That is the pineal gland. Actually, pineal gland, you know it, it is the part of the endocrine system. And pineal gland secretes the melatonin hormone. Melatonin hormone controls the sleep and wake cycles. Sleep and wake cycle. What is the sleep and wake cycle? So, among 24 hours, generally we sleep 8 hours and we waken in 16 hours. It is one kind of pattern. That pattern is maintained by the hormone melatonin. So this is called sleep-wake cycle. It is located in epithalamus. It is formed, the pineal body is formed by epithalamus. It is non-nervous part. Next, after epithalamus, second part is thalamus. Here I have given one more image to you. Epithalamus, here only pineal gland. Are you able to watch it? See here, epithalamus is formed the pineal gland. Next part is thalamus. Thalamus is located superior to the midbrain. Here we can see here. This is the thalamus. Here midbrain, above the midbrain. Yes, it is coordinating center for sensory and motor signaling. And moreover, functional gateway for cerebral cortex. What is functional gateway? All the functions are sensory, go through from it to the sensory organs to the cerebral cortex. It is the via, go through in it. And then the responses which are given by the cerebral cortex again pass on through the thalamus. That's why we call it as a functional gateway. And moreover, one more name we have given here, that is thalamus gateway to consciousness. Yes, consciousness means willingly. We do the willingly. Even for such kind of functions also, it is the passage. Thalamus is the. This is about, and moreover, the shape of the thalamus is ovoid shape, the mass. Don't confusion. Two, it is one side, other side also one more thalamus is there. This is one thalamus and one more thalamus also like this. Two thalamuses like this. Next, the third one is hypothalamus. We can call it as thermostat of the body. Thermostat of the body. Thermo is related with the temperature. So it maintains the temperature. And then here see hypothalamus here. This is the hypothalamus, and the lower part, the funnel shaped structure is there, that is infundibulum. It is attached to the pituitary gland. It lies at the base of the thalamus, and then funnel shaped downward extension called infundibulum. This is the infundibulum connecting with the pituitary gland. This is the pituitary gland. Contains several groups of neurosecretory cells. It contains neurosecretory cells which secrete hormones called hypothalamic hormones. They are called as hypothalamic hormones. What are the functions of the hypothalamus? It controls and integrates the activities of the autonomous nervous system. Yes, autonomous nervous system. It is not it is not work with our willingness. So it is autonomous nervous system. It has centers such as in autonomous nervous system. Some centers are located. What are those? Osmoregularity, thermoregularity, thrust, feeding, satiety, and water balance and BP balance. All those centers are located in autonomous nervous system. Such a kind of autonomous nervous system is controlled and integrated by this hypothalamus. Osmoregularity, you know it. The fluid in the fluid gradient, maintenance of the fluid gradient in the living substance, and thermoregularity, temperature, thrust, we know it. Shall we drink water or not, like that. Feeding and satiety. Satiety means it is the stomach fillingness. That is, we feel, yes, now our stomach is filled. That kind of feeling is called satiety. Water balance and BP balance, all of them you know. Next, so far we have completed the forebrain and its parts and its functions. Now we are going to enter into other part, that is limbic system. What is limbic system? Limbic areas, emotional response and processing, that is the function. What is limbic system? A circuit region in the limbic association cortex is called limbic system. Circuit region. Who will circuit? The parts which are involved to maintain the circuit or to form the circuit in that particular region. Amygdala, hippocampus, thalamus, hypothalamus. These four parts together form the circuit region. You can see here. Here, hippocampus. Here, amygdala, and then hypothalamus, and it is the thalamus. These four of them form the circuit region. Yes, this is the circuit region. This is the limbic area. Okay, it involved in the regulation of motivation. These are the functions of the limbic system. Regulations of motivation, basic emotion, social sexual behavioral patterns, and basic survival instinctual behaviors. Instinctual behaviors means all of them you know, the above mentioned. But what is the instinctual behaviors? Instinctual means no need to learn them. By birth, we have such a kind of behavior and emotions. For example, fish swims in the water, or spider form the web, like that. Such a kind of emotions are called instinctual behaviors. These are controlled by limbic system. Next, midbrain or mesencephalon. It is located between the thalamus of the forebrain. It is the thalamus of the forebrain, and pons varolii. Where is the pons? This is the pons. In between, midbrain is there. Actually, this is the midbrain, but it is the lateral view. We are not able to see, but we are able to see the part of one of the part of it. What are the parts involved in midbrain? Number 1, cerebral peduncle or crura cerebri. Cerebral peduncle. Peduncle means it is nothing but again bundles of axons, fibers of nervous tissue. form the, see, these are the cerebral here. This is the midbrain. The location of the midbrain is there here. It is the cerebral peduncle. Longitudinal bands of white matter. White matter, already I told you that white matter means axons, bundles of axons, myelinated axons, which connect the cerebral hemisphere and pons. Next, the second part is, the first part is cerebral peduncle, first part of the midbrain, and second part of the midbrain is corpora quadrigemina or optic lobes. This cerebral peduncle, we are able to see the ventral side or lateral side, but here we are able to see them in dorsal side. Dorsal portion of the midbrain consists of 4 rounded lobes. This is the dorsal view. 4 rounded, 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 rounded lobes, these are the optic lobes. So above lobes are called as superior colliculi. They are connected with visual, and below lobes are inferior colliculi. Inferior colliculi. These are connected with audio function, visual function. These are the 4 lobes, optic lobes. They are called as corpora quadrigemina. Next, if the cells of the midbrain degenerated or gets damaged, it results Parkinson disease. Have you heard of it? I think you might have had it. Parkinson disease. What are the symptoms of the Parkinson disease? They are able to speak properly and they are able to hold objects naturally. Frequently they drop the objects. They are not able to hold the firmly. These are the symptoms of Parkinson disease. Next, we'll go to other part, that is hindbrain or Rhombencephalon. This is the third part of the brain. Hindbrain is consisting of 3 parts: cerebellum, pons varolii, medulla oblongata. These 3 parts together form the hindbrain. Pons, cerebellum, here they didn't write here actually. This is the medulla oblongata. These 3 parts together form hindbrain. The first part, cerebellum. Cerebellum is the biggest part of the hindbrain and the second biggest part of the overall brain. Little brain, we can call it as little brain. It has 2 cerebellar hemispheres, just like as cerebrum. Here also 2 hemispheres, cerebellar hemispheres. Their longitudinal fissure divides the 2 halves. Here, who will divide? Here, a central vermis divides the cerebellar into 2 hemispheres. Each hemisphere is consisting of anterior, posterior, and floccular lobes. I will show them. But here, you observe the cerebellum. It is the real picture of the brain. It is the, not this one, from here to here. Yes, this is the cerebellum. Are you able to find out 2 halves? But of course, it is not the vermis. Actually, it is, this part is medulla oblongata and this one is spinal cord. But this part is cerebellum, 2 halves. So we will see now in the next image. Branching tree white matter is called arbor vitae. Just I will show them. First, I want to talk about the lobes. 3 lobes. One is floccular lobe. It is very primitive one. That's why we call it as Archicerebellum. It is concerned with balance and eye functions. Where is the procular lobe? This is the procular lobe. This is the procular lobe. And second lobe is anterior lobe. Here it is there. Anterior lobe. This is otherwise called as paleocerebellum. What is the function of this anterior lobe? Tone of muscles. What is tone of muscles? Tone of muscles means stiffness of muscle. When we contract and relax, they prevent the, sometimes the muscles prevent the what we call contract and what we call contract and or stretch. So they give the resistance. That kind of resistance or contraction or relaxation, all the such kind of functions are called tone of muscles. These tone of muscles controlled by anterior lobe. Okay, next, posterior lobe. This is the posterior lobe. This part is a posterior lobe. We call it as neocerebellum. What are the functions of posterior lobe? Coordination of movements. This is the important function, isn't it? Coordination of movements. All the movements should be coordinated. That is controlled by posterior lobe. And one more function is there. That is, it maintains equilibrium. Overall, cerebellum maintains the equilibrium. Okay, equilibrium means fossures. Our fossures should be balanced, isn't it? One here in the previous slide, I mentioned one word, that is what is that? Arbor vitae. This arbor vitae is branching tree-like. Life of tree. We can call it as life of tree. These branches are called arbor vitae, and it is covered by, arbor vitae is white matter. White matter means bundles of axon. It is covered by the plain matter, that is gray matter. Okay. This is about the cerebellum. If cerebellum gets damaged, it results the ataxia disease. What is ataxia disease? Ataxia disease means impaired coordination. Coordination is not in a proper way. If it is not in proper way, what are the symptoms? It results in not walking in a proper way, or we are not able to speak in a proper way. Those are the impaired coordinations. Okay. Next, cerebellum is called the gyroscope of the body. Gyroscope of the body. Why do we call it as gyroscope of the body? What is the gyroscope? Have you heard this word gyroscope? It is one kind of device which is mounted in wheel-like or disc-like structure, and it spin rapidly about an axis. When the wheel is mounted, and it spin rapidly about the axis, that is called gyroscope. So the cerebellum also act as gyroscope. That's why the cerebellum is able to maintain the equilibrium, features of our body. Okay, that is the function of the cerebellum. And then I want to mention one more thing here. Any person is being drunk. At that time, they are able to walk properly, they are able to speak properly. Why? Because the cerebellum is very much vulnerable to the toxins of alcohol. It is very much vulnerable. But in cerebellum, the centers are which centers coordination of movement centers are located in the cerebellum. That's why they get impaired. That's why the drunken people cannot walk properly and cannot speak properly. That's why when the status of the drunken status, if the one person is at drunken status, they should not drive the vehicles, isn't it? This is about the cerebellum. Next part is pons varolii. Pons. What is the meaning of the pons? Pons means bridge. It consists of nerve fibers which form a bridge between the two cerebellar hemispheres. Cerebellar, not the cerebrum. Okay, cerebellar hemispheres. Just here, this is the brain, midbrain, and pons, spinal cord. Here we can see the cerebellar hemispheres. So pons, these are the peduncles. Peduncles means fibers, bundle of fibers. These are the peduncles. Okay. So connected between two cerebellar hemispheres. That's why pon is called as the bridge. It is a relay station between the cerebellum and spinal cord and the rest of the brain also. It is the relay station. So all the stimuluses and responses through it. That's why we call it as a relay station. And one more important function it has. It has a pneumatic center. Pneumatic center. Pneumatic word is related with the respiratory system. Involved in the control of the respiratory muscles. These are the pneumatic centers. These pneumatic centrals control the respiratory muscles. This is the function of the pons varolii. Are you able to watch here? This is the pons. Yes. Next, the last part, the posterior part of the, very much posterior part of the brain, medulla oblongata. This is the last part of the brain, medulla oblongata. Yes, it is the most posterior part of the brain. It continued as spinal cord. It has choroid plexus. Again, I will explain choroid plexus later. What are the functions of the medulla oblongata? Respiratory centers, normal rhythm. So it has the respiratory centers. It controls the normal rhythm, and vasomotor and cardiac center. These are the centers located in the medulla oblongata. They control the BP. That means rhythmic movement of the heart or cardiac muscles. And swallowing centers and vomiting centers, they will be controlled. It seems, did you find all those are related with involuntary functions, more or less. Control the secretion of saliva. Yes, secretion of the saliva also controlled by the center of medulla oblongata. And medulla oblongata passes out of the cranium through the foramen magnum and joins the spinal cord. Yes, the extension part of the medulla oblongata is spinal cord. Here, it runs through the foramen magnum. What is foramen? What is the meaning of the foramen? Foramen means a hole, particularly a hole on the bone. That is called foramen. So this medulla oblongata pass on through into foramen magnum and extended as a spinal cord. See this one. We can say that somewhere here foramen magnum is located. We assume that, and pass on through it and extended as a spinal cord. This is about the final This is about the medulla oblongata. Next, ventricles of the human brain. Brain consists of 4 ventricles. Lateral ventricles, paracols, third ventricle, diacol, and fourth ventricle, myocol. So these are the 4 ventricles. Where do they situated? Here, this is the lateral. And here the third one, this is the fourth one. These are the 4 ventricles. Here you can see, this is hemisphere, cerebral hemisphere. This is one left hemisphere. This is the right hemisphere. It is connected with the corpus callosum, connected by the corpus callosum. Here you are able to see, this is one lateral ventricle. It is other lateral ventricle. Here third ventricle. Here you are not able to see the fourth one. Later we can see that. Yes. Here I have given the schematic representation. Just lateral ventricles or paracols. Both of them open into third ventricle. This is one lateral. This is second lateral. Both of them. This is the third ventricle. Both of them open into third ventricle by the foramen of Monro, or otherwise we can call it as interventricular foramen. Next, third ventricle to cerebral aqueduct. It is located at the midbrain. Through it, it opens into the fourth ventricle. Fourth ventricle or myocol. Fourth ventricle to central canal of the spinal cord. These are the 4 ventricles. 4 ventricles of a brain. Have you seen here? See here. 2 lateral ventricles, 1/3. This is the cerebral aqueduct, and it is the fourth one, and it opens into central canal. These are the 4 ventricles. Says, what are the functions of the 4 ventricles? It filled with cerebro-spinal fluid. What is cerebro-spinal fluid? CSF. The fluid contained in the central canal of the spinal cord, subarachnoid space, and cerebral ventricles is known as cerebral spinal fluid, CSF. CSF is a clear, colorless, transparent alkaline fluid. It is a part of extracellular fluid. Generally, the normal amount of CSF is about 150 ml. It varies 100 to 200 ml. Formed by the choroid plexus or situated within the ventricles. Here you can observe, it is the lateral, it is the choroid plexus, and this one, what is this one? Here it is third ventricle and aqueduct. Here is the fourth ventricle. This is the third. These are the lateral. It is choroid plexus, and here also choroid plexus. Okay, these are the connections. What are the choroid plexus? The choroid plexus are tufts of capillary projections present inside the ventricles and are covered by pia mater and ependymal cells. These are choroid plexus. For example, this is the one ventricle. Okay, third ventricle, you can say here like this plexus. Actually, it is nothing but invagination of the pia mater. Here capillary tuft, and this capillary tuft is covered by pia mater and ependymal cells. These ependymal cells secrete the CSF. Here, see, these are the lateral ventricles. Here, choroid plexus are located. These choroid plexus secrete the CSF. both sides, because the lateral ventricles are the bigger part among ventricles, large part lateral ventricle is, and moreover these choroid plexus secrete more CSF than others. This is the third.
Conclude, madam.
Okay. Yes. So like in the same manner, third ventricle to fourth ventricle to it pass on to other parts. Yes, we will discuss in next video.